Hi, I'd like to welcome you to my introduction to SharePoint communication sites. My name is Jared Matvis, and I'm a solution principal with Slalom Consulting. I live in the greater Hartford area with my wife May and our dog Spoopy. If you want to reach out to me after the session, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jared Matvis or send me an email at jaredm@slalom.com. And I've been a Microsoft MVP in the Office servers and services space since 2016. So with the intros out of the way, let's get going. Once logged into Office 365, you're going to want to go ahead and navigate to the SharePoint tab within your waffle menu. And so from there, assuming that you've received the update, which includes the SharePoint communication sites, you'll want to click on the Create Site button, and it'll present you with two options now. You can either select to create a team site, which is the standard team site you've been creating all along, or the new communication site, which has got the new templates. There's three different designs to choose from, and it really just sort of is your starting point for creating the site. There's a topic, which includes the hero up in the top with some news and events below. Then there's also the showcase, which is more for what I would say more of like a product sort of catalog. Making it's definitely very image rich versus where I feel like the topic design was more what you might typically pick for a landing page. And then finally there's blank, so if you just wanted to get going and build from scratch, that's what you would pick. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and pick on topic, and I'm going to call my site name Slalom Hartford. And I'm going to click finish, and as it's creating, so I work for a consulting firm, and we build beautiful intranets for clients all over the US and Canada and the UK. And what we find is sometimes we don't have the same amount of focus on our own tools and our own applications. And so, for us, moving to Office 365, we're already there with all of our collaboration sites. But in our Hartford office, we haven't got around to building that landing page. And so I'm going to walk you through, building a landing page for our office, using the new communication site template. So here's your starting point, which includes the hero web part with the 5 tiles. Below that, there's a news web part. Finally, there's an events web part below that. And finally, there's a documents web part. And so you can choose to either add content for these web parts or delete them, whatever makes most sense for your site. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back up and click on the edit button to begin editing this page and start to customize these web parts to reflect my content. Next, I'm going to go ahead and click the little pencil icon in this first big tile within the hero web part, because I want to swap out that image for one that reflects content that is relevant to my site. Click on the edit details button. I have the ability to change the link, and you could have this go to a document or a page. I'm going to leave that alone for now because I don't have any content to point the users to. The title is what text is being displayed within the tile, and so I'm going to put welcome to Slalom Hartford, and you can see as I'm typing it goes ahead and updates the text within that. I can also toggle that off or on. So right now I turned it off so the text disappears. I'll toggle it back on to yes, and then you can see the text of welcome to Slalom Hartford. I'm going to expand image, and that's where I have the ability to go ahead and change out that image. Click on the change button. And so I don't have any recent files, otherwise it would pull those images in. And I don't have any files within the site, so I'm going to go click on upload, and it's going to go ahead and allow me to upload an image from my desktop to SharePoint. And so I'm going to pick a picture of my dog dressed up as a minion because I think that's just adorable. I brought her to the office for a Halloween party once, and so that was her little costume. And the alternative text is the alt text. If you hover over that image, it's also used for folks with screen readers. So I'm going to go ahead and change that out to, Spoopy Matvis, which is my dog's name. And so there it is. And so I've just quickly customized that particular tile to reflect my content. So next I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to then go click on edit section, because what I'd like to do is, this hero web part has got is right now set up for one column, and then so you notice that things like news, the events below that were set up as we're all cascading below that. What I could do is I could set it up as 2 columns, and if you notice just below the section, that little plus button comes up, and so what I could do there is I can click on that and I could add a web part so it'll show up within that second on that right column, which is kind of cool, right? It helps you sort of restructure your content. So maybe I'll go ahead and click on people, and this allows me to enter people profiles. So I'll find myself, and where you might use something, like this, is if you wanted to put the names of people that manage the site. So I'll pick myself and maybe Heidi. Oh, actually, this is my own tenant, so Heidi wouldn't exist. I can go ahead and click on a little pencil for that, and I can call this, and this is me giving the title, so the web part of title, so I might just call it, site owners, something like that, right? So cool. We've got a nice little site owners web part. What I could also do too, as you might imagine, I could click on I could move this events web part if I wanted to, and I could move it, up into, this particular column, right? So I just move, instead of having it cascaded below, I just move the events web part to be underneath the site owners. So scrolling back up a bit, because I want to go ahead and make one other change, and maybe it wasn't quite clear, is you could. So right now this web part, this hero web part, is set up to have 5 tiles, and perhaps you only have 2 tiles or 3 tiles. And so what it is, I clicked on the web part, I clicked on the little edit web part button, and then I picked either 2 tiles or 3 tiles, something like that. Really, sort of depends on what makes most sense for your site, the amount of content that you have. So maybe I'll go ahead and click on 4 tiles. And what I could, obviously I could follow that same path, the way that I was able to, click on a tile, click on the edit details button, and I could either change out the link, or I could also change out the image. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly change this one out to like maybe a picture of, folks from our office. So I'm going to do like, a real photo. So click on the dragon boat one, and I'll add that image. And then what you can do is you can see that I've added an image of some of the folks from our office to that tile. And so that starts to look nice, and you start to have content that's reflective of your site. So what I'd like to do next is add some additional content to the site. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click publish, and that's going to save and publish all my changes. Next, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and let's start to add some news. So I click on the add news button, and boom, it took me already into a brand new page. I'm going to name this article Welcome to Slalom Hartford. I can go ahead and change the background image. So I'm going to click on the add image. I'm again going to upload a different file. So let's go grab a picture from last year that we took at our Nor'easter, which is an event we have where we go ahead and sort of celebrate the success of the year. So that's uploading that image. I then have the ability to reposition it. So, obviously some folks are a little bit taller than others. I'm going to go ahead and scroll. Let's go ahead and move that down like there a little bit. And so, I think that's probably good enough to get most of the folks in the picture. So great. So I've got that nice sort of top banner image, good to go. I'm going to click on the little plus button, and let's go ahead and add some text. And so again, this is a really nice authoring experience, and I can just start typing, welcome to Slalom Hartford. We hope you enjoy our new SharePoint communication site. Right, real quick, real easy. Go ahead and click on the publish button, and then boom, that's all set. If I then go ahead and scroll back down, you'll see that now it's pulled in that news article, and so just click that to go here. It goes to the page. People could post comments. I mean, I think there's one kind of key takeaway is your time is going to shift away from doing development to actually focusing on building content, and that's a really positive thing in my opinion. Next, I'd like to give you just a very quick tour of the interface for managing events. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the add event link. I can go ahead and name my events. I'm going to call, since it's July 4th, I'm going to say July 4th. Actually, I'll call it Independence Day. I'm going to say it's an all-day event. And I'm going to go ahead and click on category, holiday, and if I wanted to, I can give it a quick description, like, celebrating our nation's independence. Go ahead and click on save, creates the event. It's nice, you can also just very quickly add the event to your calendar if you wanted to, which that's pretty darn cool. I know I've built that myself for my own custom web parts. If I click on the see all events, it's also like a really nice new interface for managing events. You can go ahead and filter on category or pick a time range to go ahead and view those events. So very, very cool stuff. I'm going to click on home, pop back to where I was. And if I scroll back down, you can now see that I've got July 4th as as an event within my site. There's a couple other web parts that I want to show to you real quick. So let's go ahead and click on edit to begin editing this page again. I'm going to go ahead and let's add another web part. Let's put it right here. And what I want to show you, which I think is kind of cool, is the Yammer feed. And so all you do is you go ahead and go to your either your Yammer group, or go ahead and pick up a topic, etc. Just put the web address, and so you can copy that and paste it. I already have one sort of pre-populated, and what I'll do is I'll start loading that in. So now you've got your Yammer feed within your site very, very quickly. You can change the size of it. It makes it bigger, smaller, depending on how much content you have. I'm going to just click small because again, this is really just sort of a test site. And go ahead and click publish, and then boom, scroll down. I've got my Yammer feed, and I can write right in here. Yeah, it is. So folks can participate in conversations within Yammer directly from that homepage. Pretty cool. Another fun web part to add would be the Bing Maps. So again, I can go ahead and click, go ahead and pop over here. I'll click the little plus button. I'm going to pick the Bing Maps web part. I'm going to go 100 Pearl Street, and that's in Hartford. Pick that. That's the address of Slalom Hartford, and the options for the web part. You can go ahead and show pin on label and address to display. It's got that. I'm just going to put as the pin label. I'm going to call it Slalom Hartford, and that's it. Nice, quick little Bing Maps web part for your page. Click publish, and you're good to go. Now, one of the things that I really like is the ability to how you can quickly move web parts to different sections. If anyone's familiar with how SharePoint's been for 2010, 2013, it can always be a little bit challenging to actually move web parts around on your page. But now, if I go ahead and hover over a web part, it goes and selects it. I'm going to click on. You can press enter or space to enter move mode, and what I can do is I can then quickly pop it over to different columns. So boom, I just very, very quickly, very easily, in Chrome nonetheless, not Internet Explorer, but in Chrome, move that web part to different columns. How awesome is that, right? So with just a wee bit of movie magic, I went ahead and made just a couple tweaks, added some additional content to my site, and really try to round it out for this demo. So you notice, right now I've got, all my tiles have content that's appropriate. I also added this tile which goes to our Twitter feed with the hashtag #LoveYourFuture, which is kind of cool. I think in the future, if I was able to actually pull in tweets, that would be even more meaningful. But for now, this is pretty cool. Scrolling down a bit, I added a couple of different news articles. And so if you click on one of these, such as like Slalom celebrates Pride Month, you can see that it launches you right into the article page. People can make comments, about that article if they wanted to. We've got office contacts, and the thing I really like about the contacts web part is if I go ahead and click on myself, you'll see this rich kind of contact card comes up. I can click on recent files and start traversing all the stuff that I've worked on, which is that's pretty darn neat. It's a real nice experience. Scrolling down just a little bit further, again, I've added the Yammer web part where you can join the conversation. There's events. If I can go ahead and quickly click on one of these to add to calendar, it downloads the ICS file. I think the point is, does this meet all the needs for every intranet ever? No. But is this a great way to quickly mock up content, build something that's a really nice user experience and help to drive usage and adoption of SharePoint? Absolutely. There's only the only place to go from here is up. So hopefully that was a nice quick little intro, showing you just a nice, how quickly it is for someone like myself who's got very little design skills to be able to build out like a really nice looking site like this in just less than an hour. It's definitely very compelling, and I'm really looking forward to what Microsoft introduces next for these, modern communication sites.